Well, hello everyone. Here to show you that the car's road trip coloring right here is talking about is like a number of things right here. As you got right here is you got Lightning McQueen, and of course it's like while I'm talking I'll go ahead and color. But you got right here is that with the Lightning McQueen right here, and you see it's like if Lightning McQueen could be in park or he could be it's like making a rest stop it is, but anyway, but you see right here is I went ahead and colored in, Lightning McQueen, drew in color Lightning McQueen right here as it's like if you were making like, it's like a trip, it's like it's like if it could be racing or it could be anything related to what you call tire pickup or anything like that. But basically, if most of us here, had maybe planned on a, talked about road trip, maybe a few kids or whoever that thought about is like whenever they were thinking about maybe going on a vacation somewhere or whatever it is. And a lot of times it's like with me that I've talked about going on road trips, of course, a couple of times. A lot of people probably talk about it, but then on the other hand too that maybe think up a list of number of things that they would like to do about working it out with the budget and such and such it is. And a lot of times people probably think about is that a lot of times if it's the budget, that it's like causing a postponing on the plan, or if it's a delay that is like that with the weather, because of course it could be maybe the weather too. But then on the other hand too that you could probably think about is that is talking about is like if you were until the time that you do make the road trip, that the things that you would maybe like to do while if you were to take that road trip. And a lot of times is that with some people probably say that whenever they take a road trip that maybe a place where it's like explore the different roads and stuff like that, the roads and then that interstate highways and all that other stuff. But it's talking about it's like if you were to get on the road, a lot of times I'm sure it happens with almost everybody that if you were to get on the street on the road, and then all of a sudden it's like you're probably saying, oh, what direction do I turn, if it's left or right, or go straight, or do I stay in this lane or such and such. And a lot of times with most cities, like I don't know about Chicago, but like maybe like a city, a state like Kansas or maybe other countries, that it's like with Chicago, or of course it could be anything like Kansas State or Arkansas. It's like parts of it's like Missouri, Florida, New York, California, wherever that Nebraska, that more likely that you may have it to where that you got roads, you connect the roads, and then of course with roundabouts and everything. And a lot of times is if you were to get on the road, a lot of times you probably think about is like which road leads to where. And with most of us we could probably say that maybe you aren't the one who built the road in the first place. I'm not the one who built the road, so how would I supposed to know where it leads to? But then on the other hand too that I really don't know if we may come up with the ideas, and we may do what you call the clip art, the designs, like for this is what the road trip plan is like, to make sure that we bring a emergency kit with us, and then of course we got enough gas and such. But on the other hand too that we can probably also think about is most of us here have ever had like what you call a Lego set or Lincoln set of Lincoln Logs. That a lot of times I went ahead and included this like this little kind of example activity right here of what I use as squares and rectangles. It is talking about this like if you were to build like would you say maybe a pattern maze, that if you were to connect these two shapes together, it's like what are they supposed to be? It's like what is that supposed to be? You got maybe it's like a triangle, and then of course along it there is like with the I see kind of like a vertical shape right here. It's like with that pattern. But if you were to connect the maybe kind of like a good example, I guess maybe a little bit of example of dominoes. But I remember whenever I played dominoes, it's like all I remember is like just connecting the cubes. But other than that, is that with any other games that you remember that you would connect the different shapes and stuff like that. But other than that, with like Legos or Lincoln Logs, you connect it, and then that you would form like a design with that type of design, you probably think about it's like, the heck is that supposed to be? Well, really, that if you were to connect it to design, it could be what you call, represent maybe what you call a puzzle. That could be represent maybe a ramp, or maybe that type of design right there. Of course, could be it's like what you see, many different shapes right there. Is that I'll go ahead and hold it steady here, but you see which way, according to my opinion, of course, the way it was drawn, with the way I connected the shapes and then the cube design along with the line design, it looks kind of like a either an example of a hood, or maybe a ramp. It could be a ramp, or it could be an example of what you call, maybe a symbol to where that, it's like, to drive safe. I guess a lot of times whenever you're on the road, a lot of times you see those symbols and stuff. And a lot of times with the symbols is that they tell you that a lot of times that what they mean is it's like obeying the traffic rule by saying it's like, of course the buckle up tight. It's like for the rule. It's like few states do require that. But on the other hand too, you create the road trips like for the compass right there, and along with the planning. It's like planning for your road trip, especially for weather emergency. Weather emergency. Like a lot of times with weather emergency, it is a lot of times that people probably say that do not travel unless if it's necessary. It is. But anyway, I remember a lot of times when I was in school, it's like people would ask. It's like if you can go anywhere, anywhere in the world, it is, where would it be? And a lot of times it seems like that was a lot of times a hard question to answer. Is one, because I didn't really have any particular place of interest really. It's like, I guess during that time that I was not really that type of person that wanted to travel. But a lot of people would maybe say England or Egypt or whatever, or maybe Michigan, or maybe Mall of America. There may be some people that probably say I'd like to go to Mall of America, or maybe go to Washington D.C., wherever it is. But other than that, it's like more likely they say I would maybe like to meet a famous writer, or maybe the president. But other than that, is show and tell. I remember show and tell was one of my favorite parts of school, is talking about with show and tell right here. And of course I can maybe go on for about this design right here, but of course to make it within about 2 minutes, a lot of times at show and tell they give you about at least 15 minutes to explain what you have shown. And the guy right here is what I went and drawn is the fish, and then of course the details is like with the reflection is like of the bridge. And then a lot of times if I were to think about roads, a lot of times I used to always think that it was neat to see bridges. It's like the way they were designed, and the way you see them on the roads, that any road trip that I remember taking as a family, I remember that I would a lot of times ask, did we ever cross a bridge? Do we ever go over a bridge? It is. And then a lot of times is that they would say that yes or no, but for whatever reason I used to think that going over a bridge was neat. And I would probably say that one of the reasons why I think it was neat was because of the fact that you can see the river, and then of course the way the road was functioned. It is that if you were going to be leaving the border from the south to the east or something like that. But other than that, you got right here is the bridge, and then along right there is you have is the sun. But anyway. It's like if you add some details, maybe to the sun right here, but it's like you give it like a green type color. But other than that, it's like you have it to where it's like right today's date is like for the month of January. But anyway, but you got right there is you had the details about that, and about with the road trip, and then of course the details I would add with the fish and stuff. But other than that, a lot of times it's like anything it's like related to bridges. Related to bridges other than tunnels. Apparently that I don't know for whatever reason that I'm like that between tunnels and runways and bridges, and then along with interstate overpasses, whatever it is, that a lot of times that a lot of the road designs that you have that you see maybe around the world, it is that you begin to wonder at the time. It's like if there is any bridge that leads you to the moon, or it's that maybe leads you under the sea. It's like where where you can drive underwater, maybe across the Atlantic or whatever you call it. But anyway, but you have right here is with the cars of Lightning McQueen, and it's like you got right here it's like for the signature. It's like for the artist. It's like the artist, since I did most of this work, it's like if I were in like what you call in show and tell type class, that the teachers would probably say that well thanks for sharing, and then it's like it's like go ahead and put it's like for today's date, 2014. Other than that, it's like you have right there is for Lightning McQueen. The Lightning McQueen with like variety of colors. It's like with this, like with white. White could be used as like for what you say is for adding some artistic talents, like for the eye. But then of course on the other hand too, it's like my driving instructor used to always say, is to not only rely on your mirrors, but then of course to rely on your eyes. To stay focused on the road. It's like to drive safe. But other than that, it's like the car's road trip coloring.